So,
festive greetings. Get a little. Where's it going? There you go. Especially for the
ASMR. The end of the year. Already.
It is already. Hasn't it come quickly? Oh, it's gone really quickly, yet it seems a long time ago. Looking back at the start of the year, it seems like Star Wars Jedi Survivor seems so long ago.
I was just thinking that because of the awards, I'm off the VP awards. If you haven't voted or submitted you'd still have, by the time this video is released, you still have at least 24 hours. So go do it. But because of that, I've been seeing them sharing more about like they are nominated and stuff like that. And I keep thinking, it came out this year.
Yeah.
In April. That seems so long ago.
And and wasn't Burning Shores this year as well? The Horizon DLC.
March, yeah.
It's so long ago. Even was the Ragnarok photo mode this year? I can't remember now.
No, it was a Christmas gift. It was a Christmas gift last year.
So that was just
I remember because we written the blog last year.
Yeah, but I can't remember when it actually launched. I forget. Because I know that we were trying to get it, anticipating the photo mode when the game came out and it didn't have it.
Yeah. I think it was something like early December or something. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a year of, in my opinion, very little other than game releases.
Ooh. It's okay. It's been a slightly different year, and not just because of the fact that we've both got garish lights today. If that's annoying
last
to
year
watch.
we had them.
Well, I had the spinny ones. I think they might have been a bit less
and I had a blinking monitor.
Oh yeah,
through my eyes the whole time. Yeah.
So that's our update for this year. Is just different, annoying lights. But no, I don't know. There's been ups and downs, I think.
I'm curious. What do you think, in your opinion, what do you think is a down this year?
Well,
I know mine, but I want to know yours.
Well, what I think is probably the one that's affected you is the fact that there's been sort of disruption on social media, and it's changed the way a lot of interactions have come through for people, as in people have been seeing a lot less visibility of their work, fewer interactions. And that's always been something that you've worked to achieve.
Yeah.
So I can understand that if you're seeing, you obviously track your metrics, and if you're seeing a drop off in that's an obvious down.
Yeah, I this week with the release of Ragnarok, the Valhalla, I bit the bullet and subscribed to Premium.
Did you?
X. On Twitter. What the fuck? I just called him X.
Do you know what? It still goes to twitter.com. If you link to... Because I've just been linking stuff for the awards page, and you go on it, and even if you put in x.com, it loads the page and it reverts back to Twitter.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Commit to it.
Yeah, but I bit the bullet and I subscribed.
Okay.
And I saw no difference other than my Ragnarok posts. But those already did good.
Yeah.
I was sure they would do good because most of my audience is God of War.
Yeah.
So
that's probably the algorithm.
I'm not seeing any difference. Even on the replies, I don't actually. I had some of my friends tested and go on Santa Monica's post on the when they asked for photos of Valhalla.
Oh yeah.
If mine was on the top 10. Like every verified, no,
it wasn't.
It wasn't. So
which tier have you got?
The second one, which gives me priority replies. Yeah, the normal one. Yeah.
So, and then have you hidden the tick?
Of course, it was the first thing.
But maybe that you hide the tick and you get secretly penalized for it. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's a very Elon Musk thing to do.
You have to do a test, turn the tick back on, and then try and see if you appear.
But the tick looks so bad.
Yeah. I considered it for the awards for the same sort of reasons, thinking, I've seen interactions struggle. And it's not just the interactions, it's the views have been quite low.
My thing is the views, really, because the views will bring the interaction.
Yeah, that's the thing that matters. You have to be visible, and everything else is maybe a product of the post and the quality and whether you have a call to action, that kind of thing. But if it's not being seen, it doesn't matter how good the post is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I considered it, but when I was reading through, I thought, well, I don't need boosted replies. I need to be able to post links, and that's still not a part of it. And unless you pay specifically to promote one post, you can promote a link, which has always been the case. That's why I think they're subdued in the first place, to make you advertise. But then the boosted replies doesn't affect the awards format, so I didn't bother, and it's gone okay, to be honest.
Yeah, another thing that we might consider like a good thing. It's, I don't know, for virtual photography, is that a new social media appear, Threads. Which I am on Threads now. It's available now in Europe.
Launched in Europe, hasn't it?
Yeah. But I'm not seeing any like crazy numbers or anything there. But I think it's interesting that most VPs that I follow on Twitter might not be as present in Instagram, but they are. I'm seeing them on Threads.
Yeah, I still don't post to Instagram in a normal way. I just build the wallpaper for my profile. I've tried to kind of mirror, at least I did for a while. I tried to mirror my tweets onto Threads, but because it's only available on your mobile, then there'd be times.
It's not.
Is it not? Is it not?
No,
now?
it's not. No.
Oh, right.
No,
okay.
no. And the hashtags are like, now you can put hashtags. There is no tagging though on the photos.
No.
I still haven't found that. But I post on my PC. No.
All right, because that was what essentially made me forget to do it, because I'd post from here, especially if say I've just finished a blog and then do the blog, put that on, put the post out for that, and then I go, I'll remember to do it in a minute from my phone, and then I don't. Or then I've got to just go through the hassle of downloading all the images to my phone, and so I always forget, and then it gets behind, and then you think,
I have the same workflow as you. So now I just post, even on Instagram, I post from my PC.
Right. Yeah.
And that I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped and with posting the shorts, the reels of the Photomode UNPLUGGED, because I kept forgetting to download them to my phone and post them, because you can't post reels from the desktop. Yeah, it's. I think the workflow. If something disrupts the workflow, it will really stop
it does. But it's interesting. That is a positive for this year. It's an extra platform to use. Yeah. I've expanded into YouTube as well as this with my own channel, and I've seen a bit more from other people as well. There's more people using YouTube as a medium now. Yeah. And that's good. It's people exploring, more different type long form content, not just showing here's a set of pictures, like them. You're actually showing long form content that discusses the topic a bit more, or explains it to people, or shows longer examples, and that's a good thing to build wider interest. So keep doing that, people. We need more of that, actually.
Are you calling me out? Are you saying that I should keep doing that?
That's a good point. You had an idea to go back to your YouTube channel with a new video format, which you've still not done.
Five good things about a photo mode. Yeah, I also stopped streaming this year. I stopped.
So you're just quitting, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I did. I quit streaming, and the only thing other than virtual photography that I do related to virtual photography nowadays is this podcast.
Yeah. So this is another positive for the year, is that Ruben is quitting.
Yeah,
See less
I'm
of him.
officially quitting virtual photography in 2024. This is just for the trailer.
Right.
Yeah, for the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
That's my
like it. Yeah.
segment. But no, it's not that I'm quitting. Is that for so long I saw virtual photography as a job more than a hobby. So I wanted to go back to the hobby mindset, and maybe early next year I might go back to streaming, go back to creating other forms of content.
See, that's always, there's always a tipping point with that kind of thing, of when something, you're doing it because you're enjoying it, and then you're doing it because there's other reasons to do it. And if you're doing it for someone else's purpose, or to achieve a different thing, it can become more of a burden than an enjoyment. That's always the danger of trying to make something you enjoy into a job, even.
Yeah.
But like on that element of content creation, I think this has been one of the positives of the year. There's more of the content creator programs are becoming a little bit more accessible to virtual photographers, to in-game photographers, to whatever they get classed as in their particular program. Screenshotters might be on some. But previously there was like nothing to facilitate that, I don't think. And they've started to realise, I think, a little bit now that this is a valuable medium. And there's more of them letting people on. So the EA Creator, I'm trying to remember the names. EA Creator Network. The Ubisoft Creator Program. They've both taken on some virtual photographers.
Yeah.
I've seen people very recently getting on with Wired.
Yeah, me too.
So I saw Luna, I think Shinobi's on that as well now. I did briefly look, and you've got to have covered stuff from their games recently. I think Phil
is also Phil.
Yeah,
is also there.
Phil. He gets on all of them. He's got the knack.
I have no. Who does he know? Yeah,
the play on one as well. But I haven't been successful on all of these by any stretch. I'm on the EA one. But it's good to see people getting these opportunities and actually now starting to get early access copies to games, or even just games at launch, whichever. That's a reward in itself, I think. Yeah,
for sure. And a positive this year is that for me, I had more indie, not just indie, Cyberpunk 2, but I had more studios approach me to cover their games, and I know that every single one of them also approached other virtual photographers and did the same. It was not paid work. It was just, here's our game, can you photograph it? But it's still cool to see. I didn't expect that to be something that would happen to me like last year or a year ago or 2 years ago. It just didn't happen. It happened like twice, and this year happened 4 times, which is awesome.
The dog is under the table. She's rustling around. Another positive. I got a dog.
You got the dog.
Finally, after many years of not having another, I was talked back into it. But yeah, you're right. That's a good sign of that they're seeing this again. It's that recognition of the benefits of having people shoot your game, and they're actually actively going out and trying to put it in the hands of people that they think might do that.
And a good proof of that is that the Community Support Award this year, the nominees, you have like 4 different studios in there, 4 different nominees in there that you've never seen.
And I don't know if you noticed, but so that particular nominee list always gets shared kind of by the nominees, because that's like literally the whole element of community support. It's like, hey, look, come and see our community. But it's also sort of been shared a little bit more widely. So Kojima Productions quoted it on behalf of our friends at 505.
Ooh, that's
and it's
nice.
just, I liked that extra step, that extra removal from just the nominee to the friends of the nominees.
That's really nice.
Yeah. So again, it's just that appreciation of.
You had champagne with that, you were like, Kojima.
Well, but they turned down being on the judging panel, didn't they? So.
There's always next year.
There is. I think the issue there was more of a concern about wanting to not promote other studios' games and stuff, maybe. But yeah, just that why, because you always see it with the big awards. You see congratulations to our friends at whatever. So to see that on the VP awards was pretty cool. Glitched out.
It's proof that. It's proof that the VP Awards are growing, and the VP Awards are growing in part because of your great work, but also because VP itself is growing, which is really good to see. Yeah,
I think earlier in the year, so like going back to, it's been quite split this year, I think. So I don't know like when in the year those opportunities that you mentioned came along for you, but
late in the year.
Yeah, that's the same here. Like early on in the year, so we had a little bit of a flurry of releases at the start, wasn't it? Like Forspoken came out at the start of this year, just gone.
Yeah, which is not relevant. You shouldn't be seeing that episode. Don't go back and watch. Like, it's a podcast. It's not a series. You don't have to see it.
Just watch the new one. But there was a bit of activity right at the start of the year and Star Wars, and it seemed to go really quiet over the summer.
Yeah.
And then like we had London Games Festival with the VP Challenge.
Yeah.
And that was in April, and then really quiet all summer. Not very many.
The only big release that got over the summer was Final Fantasy 16. And again, PlayStation Portugal did a great work with Final Fantasy 16. But then Square Enix and the Final Fantasy 16 page did nothing with the first mainline Final Fantasy with a photo mode. They just put it there, and it's a really rough photo mode.
It's a very bare essentials one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So at that point, I was a little bit, and that was the period as well where sort of social interactions are declining a little bit, and you're thinking that this is the first real negative year, actually. Every previous year has always seen growth and new opportunities, and we've had no Red Bull Capture Point this year, so that's a previous big hitter that's gone off the calendar this year. So I was like, oh, is this the down? Is this the start of the downward slope? But then the last 3 months have really picked up again. I
agree.
Lots and lots of game releases, but tons of interaction from these kind of community accounts, from the game accounts, engaging their community. Yeah, and getting
Lords
in touch.
of the Fallen.
Right. Let's talk a bit more about that, because that, the Photomode's really novel for a start. Yeah. Well, some of the bits of the Photomode.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
So, to rewind, the Photomode base is a standard unit in Unreal Engine. But they've added some incredibly novel features, principally the 3D photo thing, which lets you just go in, save the whole scene, and then come back later, be able to move the camera around, and you keep everything that you were up to. But then they did that, let's call it an activation at Times Square.
The Times Square thing, yeah.
So it was a contest, and the prize was to have your image up on the big screen, one of the big screens at Times Square, which is clever from them because it's an advert. But
it's so, but it's such a clever way to utilize the community.
Yeah.
To put some. I always wonder how much time each developer and how much time and money goes into a photo mode. I would love to know that. And I bet like different developers have different resources they put into the photo mode, but they are essentially an indie developer, roughly a smaller one.
Yeah,
it's a AA game, and they probably didn't spend that much on the photo mode, that much time. They did that feature that was revolutionary, but like you said, it's the baseline was already there. And then to put that into, okay, let's put the community to work, make them basically promote our game on social media, and then out of that we will get a free poster to put on our we already bought it, the spot is already there, let's now have the community there. And that is so clever of them. So clever.
The bit about because they will have had to have already booked the space, so if you didn't get any images, then you're going to just use your own, I suppose. But yeah, it's a really high profile way of getting engagement, and yes, it promotes their game, but it also promotes the art of in-game photography, because I'm not sure about whether the resulting image on the billboard does, because to a passerby there's no real indication. It's
just a promotional.
Yeah, you don't know where the image came from. But to people following the account, following that game account, they're like, who might just ignore photo mode normally, they're like, oh wow, that if I go and play with that, I could be part of their promo thing. Like, that's a pretty insane opportunity. Ordinarily, you'd expect them to go and pay someone to capture that image, but that's
it. The resources, they save resources by doing something really clever. It's so. I would love to talk with the PR guy that had that idea.
If you look at the finished result, you can see why the image that they chose is very balanced as well for the space. Like, there's a space for the logo, the game logo, and everything. So I think they had pretty keen criteria as to what fit their needs. But you know, that's a skill in itself, is making something to requirements in a brief, but it wasn't given, so you didn't know what they were looking for. But I love the option.
On the other side, we had 2 games from Ubisoft launching, 3 games actually, with the crew, with photo modes launching, big releases, but they didn't do the gallery this year. Or any sort of contest like that.
There's an avatar contest running now.
Yeah. But that's not for a gallery, right? It's
no, I don't think so.
It's similar to the one that Star Wars is running.
Yeah.
For the a collector's edition or whatever. Yeah. Gifts.
As far as I know, Ubisoft have the plan to do this annual contest, a broad annual contest, and then I think these other ones are more game specific. So did the crew have some? I think it might have done. I don't know exactly offhand. I didn't see anything for Assassin's Creed.
Anything. Like, I follow a lot of Assassin's Creed accounts, and I didn't see that much from Mirage on part of Ubisoft, which was strange.
It's kind of been treated like the small title, hasn't it? Like, oh, this is just an interim one. Don't worry too much about it. Yeah. Which I think is wrong. It would have been nice. That's another point of one of the slight disappointments throughout the year is photo modes not changing much or at all. And Assassin's Creed Mirage was one that didn't change in the slightest. In fact, I think it lost one or two features from Valhalla. And again, you start to think, oh, is that it? Is that the industry going, there you go, we've done our photo mode now?
I so feel that with Santa Monica. With the DLC, they had the opportunity to at least tweak something with the photo mode. It's exactly the same. Have you played anything of the DLC?
I haven't had a chance to, no.
Can I give you a slight spoiler?
Yeah, go on.
Like a very minimal spoiler. At some point in the game, you have a new head on your hip. Instead of being Mimir,
right,
you have another character there.
Okay.
That character has facial expressions.
What, in the photo mode?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, okay, it's basically just swapping the model of Mimir with another head. And have the facial expressions of Mimir on that head. But still, it annoys me so much that it's the thing that we don't want. We don't want that. We want so many other things. But they go and do that. It's almost irritating that they just here's the photo mode. We actually took out the autofocus.
Yeah.
No one misses that, right? And why?
And the shortcut.
And the shortcut.
That's the worst part. So things like that, where it's just like, is this where we're headed now? Have we peaked?
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to say. I think again, the last quarter of the year has shown a bit more innovation.
We had again Star Wars with the better photo mode than one in Jedi.
Yeah, specifically with the lighting.
Yeah, and then we had Spider-Man with slight improvements, but still they are there. I'm surprised that we see both sides of the industry, like the ones that are like it's here. Just take a few screenshots. We will share some on our social media pages, and that's it. And others that go really above and beyond, not just by the social media sharing, but also improving the photo mode. Like Spider-Man, they really listen. People wanted poses, they put poses. People wanted, I don't know, more lights. They didn't give us more lights, but they gave us the Ratchet and Clank.
The camera, it's basically the best bits of their previous photo mods have all come together now.
I like that. And then you have Mirage, which is like, you like the one in Valhalla? Let's take out a few things.
Which is not good. That's the opposite of what we want to see happen.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why PC gamers default to third-party camera tools, and that's because they can do more than these inbuilt photo mods, and that's entirely up to the development studios to address that. There's no reason. It shows that the third-party tools can make all these things happen. It's very much possible, and
in a day. It's
often
possible
straight away.
In a day. It's like the game is here. Here's the formula, like Alan Wake, a game that's essentially a sequel to Control. That's a game that's still today being shared on social media, and Remedy went and thought, let's not release a photo mode with this.
Apparently they are bringing it in an update.
Yeah, they announced it, but like New Game Plus and the new ending are already in the game, but the photo mode, it's not.
They must be putting a lot of effort and time into.
Do you really think so after seeing the photo mode on Control?
Well, the one on Control was really minimal, like that lacked a lot, and I don't know. If they come out with that now. But that's exactly the same as Ragnarok. We thought, it didn't come at launch, therefore it must be significantly better. And it really wasn't.
Nope.
So I think it will be badly received if it's the same one from Control.
Yeah.
But we're just before you're on about the community interactions and community sharing, and saying Remedy not doing it. Do you think there's been, in general, more of these kind of community showcases and things?
I think the ones that we mentioned last year are basically the ones that keep on doing it.
So
Guerrilla, Insomniac, a lot less from Santa Monica. A lot less from Santa Monica. It used to be like every 2 weeks, and now it's maybe one every 2 months. It's
just to share your shots, but that's usually just to
yeah,
share yours and we'll retweet some. Whereas the others are doing these curated showcases where they're actually putting it on a YouTube channel or on a blog. You know, they're actually creating more.
Okay, those I haven't seen that much. Well, even Insomniac did a couple of months in the summer, but they aren't doing it as much right now.
I'm not sure. I think as they got busier up to launch, it seemed to fade away, which ironically is a time when you'd be best off doing it. But I mean, Naughty Dog did a series of blog posts, didn't they? Of
with a TV show.
Yep, all around that.
Whoa, the Last of Us TV show came out this year.
Yeah, that's kind of a distant memory now. But there's been a few other building it around blogs and articles. So 505/Remedy have done that. In fact, did this one ever come out? Because I saw a thing where they were asking for tips and advice, and it was going to be something like the director's guide to photographing the oldest house. But I don't remember ever seeing the finished product of that.
It's possible that they put it on the website but never release it, and I don't remember anyone sharing. No. I'm on this.
I remember seeing
or anything.
The request for it, but not the result.
Yeah,
but they definitely
they keep curated gallery on their website or on the 505 Control website. They keep on adding photos on there.
Yeah, and so it appears cool. on the PlayStation home screen.
Oh, the PlayStation,
yeah, that's really cool. And they did some feature posts for the Death Stranding photographers or porters.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's featuring them as legitimate content creators, which is exactly what they should be doing, I think. But I think who else has done anything?
I want to give a shout out for the developers of Delivers Mars, Kaioken. They keep on sharing on social media, but not just retweeting, but also putting together 4 photos, giving shout outs to the creators. Like they did one with just blue. They went and curated blue photos from different virtual photographers and put out a post saying like blue from the different eyes of, and then the names of the virtual photographers. I quite like the way they are tackling virtual photography. It's cool to see a indie game doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree on this sort of added layer of curation, of more, not just a simple I'll retweet that because that's fine. It does a little bit for one person's numbers.
Yeah.
But them picking a set of shots and showing it as a theme, that does more for the art form. That does more to interest people in, what is that?
I actually never seen that done, like that way, like how these virtual photographers see this part of the game, this theme, like the ones that we were mentioning about Santa Monica. Show us your action shots, or show us photos of Baldur or tattoos. And we will share our favorites. It's like you said, in the end, it's just a retweet of a comment. But that curation, that going around choosing which wants to put on that post, it's a layer of care that we usually don't see.
And I hope that continues because, like I said, that's more beneficial than anybody's just getting a bunch of numbers. So that's exactly the kind of thing that if you want this to be recognised more widely, it needs that greater purpose. This goes back to, as I said before, in talking in the photography circles and in art gallery context, they want more of a reason why and not just a what. Not just look at this picture, it's what do these pictures talk about, that kind of thing. In fact, that reminds me of a really interesting thing that came out October, I think it was. So there was an exhibition in fact, there's been a couple of exhibitions in Italy this year.
Yeah.
There was one about Forza Motorsport from Gasoline Photography. I think he's called David. And he had a gallery on at the IIF, Italian Institute of Photography, in, I want to say, Milan. And so that was a cool thing, just a showcase of his work in their gallery. I think it was on for a couple of weeks. But then there was one in Venice, wasn't there, about Assassin's Creed? It was yeah. So it was Dario Giorgetti was in that, and he exhibited his in-game captures alongside concept arts from the developers and stuff. And it was all about architecture. Now, from what I heard via Dario, there was a lot of interest there from, gallery curators and from press journalists, etc. And there's a really interesting article came out about it, describing the event. But then he went on to sort of talk about a bit more about the theory behind game photography and what it could be used for. And touching on this, it's basically being used for free promotion right now. But everybody's doing it in a very, like a very easy, homogenous way. They're just showing the characters and they're just giving stuff that's likely to get retweeted and what have you. Nobody's really been daring with it. And he gave all these examples. They might not be in the article, but he's given examples when I've been speaking to him since, of, like really powerful advertisements. Like Benetton ran some really great advertisement campaigns with really fantastically powerful photography in it. He said, will this ever happen with game photography? And that's a really interesting thing, is to move it into an edgy area of promotion, not just a, hey, look, it's Spider-Man, getting retweeted about Spider-Man. That's not memorable promotion.
Yeah, I get that. I always admire the ones that are like photographing New York and the people of New York in Spider-Man instead of just But at the same time, I think it's a result of the medium that we are using. We are photographing for video games. We want to photograph what. It's not just about the retweets. It's like we are playing with our favorite video game character. We will want to photograph our favorite video game character. Oh, that character looks cool. I want a photo of it. In the end, it ends being promotion for the game and simple promotion. But if you take a photo of like a barn in Red Dead Redemption, you're not taking a photo unless it's something that you really like, barns. You're not taking a photo of something that has an emotional connection with you. And I think that's it. I think if you go into the game looking for creating art, that is something that you can do. But most of us are just simply playing the game and taking a couple of shots in between play sessions or in play sessions. I really thought you were going to say another thing that it would be interesting. Like games like Assassin's Creed, games like even GTA at some extent, they are really cool to showcase actual locations. Like, for instance, Notre Dame burned down. Virtual photographers took hundreds of shots of Notre Dame. it could be a way to remember that, to remember how it was by a different point of view, the gamer point of view.
Yeah. Assuming, of course, that the version in the game was accurate in the first place.
They actually landed, I think it was Unity back then, to help in the reconstruction because it was the most detailed virtual reconstruction of Notre Dame.
Because he had a full scan of everything. Yeah. That's one of the. I mean, that's another kind of potential advantage of something it could end up being useful for. But going back to that, wanting to just shoot the character versus be more artistic with it, I do think it's necessary. Absolutely not everybody has to start going, right, I'm going to be super arty with my set from whatever game now. It's fine that the majority of people will never do that and they will just shoot the game. But it does need some people to push into a new space and, to create sets of images that are a bit more provoking. Like, the worst you might get is just a bit of gore. You'll get certain things from horror games and they maybe can be distasteful, but and this is where it's difficult for it to do it because everybody knows it's just a game. It's not real. A real photograph of, of death, say, has powerful meaning because it's real. And the game one is always going to struggle because of that disconnect where people just go, it's not real. You just restart, you died, it's fine. You just load and carry on. But you can still achieve it. You can make images that make people stop and think that it's thought-provoking, and there's not enough of that. That's nothing to do with this
year. This is the topic for a whole
nothing to do with this year.
Episode. This is definitely one that we have to return to. Are there any more highlights or downsides to this year that you have? Or downsides? Artwork Core is a downside to me. They did nothing with that.
That's a plus and a minus, isn't it? Because it's From Software finally doing a photo mode, but then it's From Software not following up on the photo mode at all. But at least it's there now. At least it's done. There, so you can hopefully expect that their future games to have one as well. I don't know. There's not been it doesn't feel like there's been as many events and things. That
was my first thought at the beginning of the episode when I said it's not been as good for virtual photography as other years because there are less events happening.
Yeah, not as many opportunities. But my thought on that has swayed slightly more recently because of these creator programs. Because it's all very well and good having contests, but what you want is actually more opportunities to be part of something and to actually grow with it. So the creator programs do that. There's a couple of interesting things have come my way via the website, which it is always really encouraging because you think, great, that means someone's actually been out looking for people who are doing this, not just purely, we saw this thing getting numbers on social media. They went out and looked for stuff on the internet and found this content and then came. So the one that's going to be visible soon is a freelance post I've just written for the Epic Games blog. So that they wanted it's very similar to what I did for Red Bull actually, but it's basically in-game photography 101, like a real starting point. So that's them going, right, we want to engage with our audience here and push virtual photography a little bit more. Brilliant, it's brilliant that it came my way, obviously, but it's also brilliant as a whole for the art form that they are wanting to engage a new audience with it. So they've kind of been my overriding sort of positive elements that have brought me back up again, I think, after the middle year lull.
But yeah, I agree that those are definitely a big highlight of this year. That again, they didn't used to happen, and
No,
now they
not
are
at all.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So they're never going to happen for everybody. That's that
yeah,
that's just a simple fact. There's too many people doing it for how many things are going to be required. But the more things that are out there, the more chance there is that someone who is doing it will get something good out of this. Like I always say, you never know what's around the corner.
Hmm.
So
that you should have saved that for your last sentence of the episode.
well, we'll just end it there then.
Okay.
Unless you want to just like mention in brief the sheer number of games is also increased with the number of Photomode enabled games.
Yeah, i5 Rush. On the top of my head, new games coming out with not sequels. Like we expect Spider-Man to have a photo mode. Like i5 Rush, Armor Core. What am I'm forgetting one.
Well, there's lots.
I have to. Delivers Mars.
Yep.
Atomic Heart.
Yep.
Lords of the Fallen. The Talos Project. I'm forgetting
Starfield,
something.
technically.
Starfield.
Yeah.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar is like Far Cry, but not
It's still
Far
a new
Cry.
IP,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Lords of the Fallen as well.
Yeah.
But then you've
Total Warfare.
Total Warfare, yeah.
That trailer is so good.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's so good.
I don't know what's going on with them because they put some apology out saying, I know that this is not what you expect from us and we must do better. I don't know what's happening with the game. I think it might be performance issues and things, but yeah, hopefully they get all of that resolved and can start to support the photo mode a little bit more. But yeah, there's others, isn't there? Like the Invincible, Deliveries Mars you mentioned. But then there's been so many sequels that are still bringing back the photo mode. Nobody's dropped it yet. That would be the real bad sign. The sequel comes out and the photo mode's gone.
Can you consider Alan Wake?
I don't. Yeah.
Because their last game had okay, they promised the photo mode, so
it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's not a direct sequel as such. It's same universe crossover, isn't it? Or Forspoken was new. Also, that's a new.
Oh yeah, that one came out this year.
But like, because I tried to make a list for the awards, and I think I had 28, 29 things on the list this year, and 16, 17 last year. And I probably missed some as well. So more is good.
Yeah. And we saw it in different styles, which is cool.
Yep.
Like Hi-Fi Rush, cell shaded. Not all of them were like ultra realistic looking games, which is really, really good.
And you've got things like Gran Turismo adding new novel features. Like they added the drift mode. They've now done more with their shutter speed in the game, in the race photography. That shows a commitment to it. So you never know what might be around the corner